Hey everyone, welcome back. So we've made it to day 17 of our Express.js course. In this explainer, we are stepping firmly into phase 3, which is all about architecting robust, production-ready backend security for 2026. Now, if you've been following along, you know we've already built some pretty fantastic routes and controllers. But today we are tackling the true front door of your application, authentication. All right, quick look at our agenda for this explainer. We're going to cover hardening your Express backend, weigh custom auth against middleware, track the rise of auth libraries, dive into managed authentication providers, and finally wrap things up by looking at securing the supply chain. So right off the bat, let's address the elephant in the room. Should you build or buy your authentication? Unlike frameworks like Laravel or Django, Node and Express just don't give you auth out of the box. You basically get a runtime, a routing library, and well, the rest is entirely up to you. This forces every single tech lead and dev team to make a critical choice right at the start. Do you build this yourself, or do you buy it? Let's break down what building it actually entails. Okay, Section 1, hardening your Express backend and navigating the 2026 threat landscape. Because let me tell you, the 2026 threat landscape, it is massive and it is totally unforgiving. We aren't just talking about simple SQL injection anymore. We're defending against automated credential stuffing, crazy sophisticated brute force attacks, and session fixation, which is where an attacker literally plants a known session ID before a user even logs in, just to hijack their session later. To defend against all this, you've got to choose a foundational architecture. It basically comes down to two paradigms. First, there's stateless authentication using JSON web tokens. Here, the server signs a token and basically forgets about it, while the client holds it and sends it back in a secure HTTP-only cookie. Then there's stateful authentication. In this model, the server creates a session and actively stores it in a blazing fast database like Redis, so the client just has to hold on to a tiny session ID. Both are totally valid in 2026, but if you choose the JWT route, you have to play by some very strict rules. The crucial point here is that if you roll your own custom JWTs, you absolutely must adhere strictly to modern cryptographic standards. Access tokens should have super short lifetimes. We're talking 5 to 15 minutes max, just to limit the blast radius if a token gets stolen. Got a microservices architecture? You have to use RS-256 asymmetric signing. Never ever use HS-256 symmetric signing across multiple services. Why? Because if just one service is compromised, your single shared secret is out there, and attackers can forge tokens for the whole system. Oh, and whenever you manually compare sensitive strings, you always have to use Node's crypto.timingSafeEqual. That stops timing attacks dead in their tracks, preventing response times from leaking password info. Now, if you go the stateful route instead, listen closely to this definitive stance from our source material. Do not use the default in-memory session store in production. Packages like Express Session give you an in-memory store, but it is purely for development. If you push that to production, it leaks memory, you can't share it across multiple server instances, and it completely drops all your user sessions the second your server restarts. In 2026, backing your sessions with a persistent store like Redis is just the mandatory standard. Moving right along to Section 2, Custom Auth versus Middleware, looking at the legacy heavyweights. Because, let's be real, writing all that crypto from scratch is incredibly risky. So, historically, the Node community leaned hard on standard middleware to abstract the heavy lifting. The absolute king of this space has always been Passport.js. But hey, if you've ever spent hours or days debugging a Passport callback, you know the reality of its limitations. It's fantastic at what it does provide, over 500 authentication strategies and a beautifully consistent API. But think about what it leaves out. You still have to build the database models, write out the user registration flows yourself, manually implement two-factor auth, and set up your own rate limiting. It's a great tool for sure, but it is definitely not a complete solution. Which brings us to Section 3, the rise of auth libraries and how they bridge the gap. You see, developers eventually wanted way more than what Passport offered, so we've seen this massive rise in modern framework-agnostic auth libraries, like Better Auth. This approach is basically a cheat code. You get complete, ready-to-go flows for registration, social logins, multi-factor auth, and it plugs right directly into your own database. But there's a catch. It usually lacks those heavy-hitting enterprise features out of the box, things like SAML single sign-on or SIEM directory sync. And honestly, the biggest trade-off? Because this code lives right inside your infrastructure, you were the one carrying the heavy burden of constantly monitoring vulnerabilities and applying ongoing security patches. All right, Section 4, Managed Authentication Providers, also known as the Enterprise Shortcut. Now we're completely shifting over to the buy side of the equation. We're talking about managed authentication providers like WorkOS and Authgear. For a lot of teams in 2026, these platforms have become the absolute ultimate shortcut to enterprise readiness because they completely offload the risk and maintenance of your auth infrastructure. But to truly grasp what these platforms give you right out of the box, we need to rapidly demystify a bit of enterprise alphabet soup. Let's start with OAuth 2.1. This is the modern, highly secure standard that delegates user sign-in to an external authorization server. It uses this brilliant mechanism called PKCE, Proof Key for Code Exchange. Basically, PKCE ensures that even if an authorization code is somehow intercepted in transit, it literally cannot be exchanged for a token without a cryptographic secret that's held safely by the client. It massively reduces credential exposure. Building right on top of that is OIDC, or OpenID Connect. If OAuth handles the authorization, granting access, OIDC adds an identity layer right on top to handle the actual authentication. It gives you a standardized, mathematically verifiable identity token. OIDC is practically the engine behind seamless enterprise single sign-on, and it's the gold standard for secure machine-to-machine communication across all your back-end microservices. And then there's Passkeys and FIDO2. Make no mistake, this is the gold standard for user security in 2026. We are talking about fully phishing-resistant, totally passwordless authentication. It uses cryptographic keys that are bound directly to the user's physical device, like their phone or laptop. Providers like WorkOS and Authgear let you implement passkeys practically instantly. And the best part? It completely neutralizes brute force attacks and password breaches, simply because there's no password to steal in the first place. Ultimately, when you're deciding whether to build or buy, you've got to remember, time is money. Think about the sheer time investment here. You can totally hack together an MVP with email, password, and JWTs in a couple of days. Sure, but getting that to production-ready status with MFA, that takes weeks. And building true enterprise-grade auth with single sign-on and directory sync, you're looking at 3 to 6 solid months of dedicated engineering time. A managed provider compresses those months into literally hours of integration, which frees your team up to actually build your core product. Finally, our last section, Section 5, Securing the Supply Chain and Defending the Code Itself. So we're pivoting away from the auth architecture itself to defending the actual code that runs these systems. Because right now, in 2026, one of the absolute most severe threats to your Express backend is a supply chain attack. I mean, this number is just staggering. The NPM registry hosts over 2 million packages. When you build a Node app, you are likely relying on hundreds of transitive dependencies. Those are the packages required by the packages you installed. Every single one of them is a potential vector for malicious code trying to steal your environment variables, database credentials, or those shiny JWT secrets we talked about earlier. To combat this, you really need a strict pipeline of defense to harden your runtime environment. Step 1. Always enforce lock files like package-lock.json. You need deterministic dependency installation. Step 2. Run npm audit automatically in your CI pipelines so you physically block deployments that contain known vulnerabilities. And Step 3. Please stop storing long-lived AWS keys in GitHub. Switch over to using OIDC to generate temporary, super short-lived credentials for your GitHub Actions deployment pipelines. Before we finish up, I really want you to take a second and absorb this absolute rule from our source material. Authentication is not just a feature, it is critical infrastructure. Your architecture has to be forward-looking. Don't just build for the handful of users you have today. Choose an implementation approach that will actually scale securely to the enterprise clients you want tomorrow. So we're going to wrap up this explainer with a bit of a provocative question. As tech leads and developers using Express.js today, sure, you can build it all yourself from scratch. But when you factor in the true cost of ongoing maintenance, constantly patching security holes, and building out complex enterprise feature requests, is that actually the best use of your engineering time? I'll leave you to ponder that as you go design your backends. Thanks so much for joining me for day 17. Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.